Well, the Steam Winter Sale goes on a couple more days. Let's talk about classic game collections, because I personally like going old school with these collections, and they usually offer a pretty good bang for my buck. So, here we go. First is the Castlevania Anniversary for $3.99, $4 and you'll get the original Castlevania, Super Castlevania 4, Castlevania 3, Castlevania Bloodlines, and the unreleased Kid Dracula, all for $4. This is a steal. What do you want more? How about the Japanese versions of all these games, which includes a much better version of Castlevania 3 and a digital book on this series. Plus, you'll also get Castlevania 2 and the Game Boy Castlevania games, but those may not be pluses, but they might still be worth checking out. Going for a little bit more and getting a bit more advanced is the Castlevania Advance collection. I have reviewed one game on this collection somewhat recently and said it was the worst Castlevania game ever made, but this collection also has the best Castlevania game ever made in my opinion, Aria of Sorrow, and Harmony of Distance and Circle of the Moon are pretty good too. Just ignore Dracula X, that stinky SNES reimagining of Rondo of Blood. Oh, by the way, Konami, when are you going to port the collection that does have Rondo of Blood off the PS4 and onto the PC and other consoles? Anyways, going on, we also have Contra Anniversary, which is also $3.99 and is as solid as the Castlevania collection. You get 2 arcade games that haven't aged the greatest, but are still somewhat fun to play. You get 2 NES games that have aged like fine wine. You'll get Contra 3 for the Super Nintendo, which is great, and the Sega Genesis game that, due to Konami of America's interference, really kinda sucks and is the worst game of the game collection. But for $4, you get a good deal, and even that really terrible game does have the original Japanese version that have all the codes in the easy mode on it too. That kind of makes Contra fun to begin with, so definitely worth collecting the Contra Anniversary. Then we have the Disney Afternoon Collection. Time to go back when I was a kid and Disney held sway over my afternoons with the Disney Afternoon, and they had Capcom make some really gems for them. For $5, you'll get the original DuckTales, which is worth the $5 for that alone. Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers, which is really fun. Darkwing Duck, which isn't a bad Mega Man knockoff. DuckTales 2 and Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers, which cost an arm and a leg for a physical copy, but are still quite fun. And you'll get Tailspin, which is okay. Then we'll go on to the Mega Man Legacy Collection. I love Mega Man, and I do miss Capcom's flagship series. But the good news is this is a decent way of going back and reliving the hits and a few 8-bit misses. The original game hasn't aged perfectly, but it's a good start. The second one improves on a lot of things, and 3 hits the bullseye. 4 peters a bit, and 5 would have been better, but 6 is personally my favorite game out of the classic series. This collection is definitely worth checking out for $6. That said, if you're only going to buy one Mega Man Legacy Collection, then get the original X Legacy Collection. Mega Man X is one of my most played and favorite games ever, and I do recommend it every time this goes on sale. If you want to try this game out for free, you can at Capcom Town, but X2 and X4 are also on this collection and worth the $8, so definitely check this one out. The Mega Man ZX Collection. Now, next to the Castlevania series, the Mega Man Zero series was my favorite to play on the Game Boy Advance. The ZX Collection contains all the Zero games plus the ZX games, which I haven't really dabbled with recently. With the Zero series, though, it begins 100 years after Sigma's defeat, and Zero has been missing. The world has gone to a hell in a handbasket with the human survivors all cowering in the city of Neo-Arcadia, who has all deemed the Reploid race as mavericks and are hunting them down and destroying them. A young human scientist named Seal has found and awoken a red Reploid, who she found in a cave, who she believes to be the legendary Zero. As the amnesiac bot tries to find out what's going on, he does find out that if he wants to save the Reploid race, he's going to have to stop Neo-Arcadia and the man behind the chaos, Mega Man X. The story is actually pretty good. Unlike the other Mega Man series, it's not always the same villain. You beat X in the original Zero, but a new threat pops up each time, leading to unique stories, and it actually has a climax in Zero 4 that is pretty interesting. That said, I do want to warn you, the Mega Man Zero series is pretty tough. Capcom did do a few things to lessen the challenge, mainly with quick save buffers, but it's worth checking out. The ZX series, from what I played of it, took a bit more of a Metroidvania approach, and I do want to review those one day, because I did play the original back in the original DS days, and although it was not a great game as far as the Mega Man Zero series goes, I don't remember it being terrible, and I do want to do a review when I have the time. Going from old school to ancient school, the making of Karateka. This is a new gem I just discovered. Now, Karateka takes me back when I was a kid and my grandfather gave me his Apple IIe computer. It was a yellow and black screen, and one of the games that I got for it was Karateka. Later on, I would learn that it was created by the Prince of Persia creator, and he was just a kid at the time. But man, this game is good. It doesn't hold up perfectly, but for its time, it had a story, something a lot of Apple IIe games did have. It had animation, and some good animation too, and it was actually pretty hard, but it felt that way in a fair way. Getting through Karateka was a challenge, but it also felt like an accomplishment, with only one or two cheat deaths, especially with this gate here. Combat is not as engaging as your Street Fighter, but there is some strategy to kicking, moving, and punching, and overall, despite the fact that it did not age gracefully, I still say it's a fun game. I don't know if I want to beat every version of this collection, because it has the original Apple II, it has Coleco and Atari version, plus a bit of a remake of it, but they also did a lot of interviews, design documents. This is perfect for anyone who wants to look up a making of a really classic old school game, and I hope this isn't the last of these Gold series that Digital Eclipse is doing, because if you enjoyed Atari 50th Anniversary Collection, this is worth checking out, because it's the menus and everything that they did for it is in the same design. So I'm going to enjoy the fact of this documentary style plus the game collection, and I think this is a way to go when it comes towards game preservation, so it's definitely worth checking out for its price. Then we have Ninja Turtles The Cowabunga Collection, 12 classic Turtles games plus the Sega Genesis Turtles Tournament Fighter. This contains the must-have Turtle games, Turtles the arcade game, Turtles 3 The Manhattan Project, Turtles 4 Turtles in Time, and even the NES Ninja Turtles 2 game are worth checking out, and a few weird ones like the Turtles Game Boy games are fun, and heck, even put the original NES game as worth trying. Just the controls are bad, and getting through the end parts, let's just say you're going to be using that rewind feature a lot. The only game I really found without any redeeming quality was the Sega Genesis version of Tournament Fighters, as it just felt like it was broken and not very good. Even the NES version with its limitations turned out to be a much more fun game than the 16-bit Sega Genesis game. Anyways, that's all I have for the Steam version, but let's move on over to Epic, because we have Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5. With all the coupons and discounts, this should cost you around $13.50, give or take. But basically, this has 4 really great JRPGs, and it's a good reminder of what Disney used to be. Kingdom Hearts 1 has a few flaws, like a few of the worlds being a bit obtuse, but you can see with the graphics and art design just how well this is aged. Chain of Memories was pretty fun and a different experience once you understand how to play it, and that's, I think, the number one flaw in this game, is the game does not do a good job of teaching a person how to play it. Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix is just a legendary game worthy of $15 on its own. And then Birth by Sleep is a really great Kingdom Hearts game. I love the combat system and I love the melding. So these 4 games are definitely worth picking up. Anyways, this is Tommy the Game Master, If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. I try to produce one of these videos every week. You guys have a great weekend and enjoy your sales.